Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amy Fields, and I am the head of school here at Little Oaks Montessori Academy. And we are very excited to bring to you some virtual back to school events through our YouTube channel, where we will be sharing a series of 4 videos that cover very important topics that we feel were important to share with all of our current families to have a great start to this new school year. So today's video, we'll be posting one every Thursday throughout the month of September, is hosted by me, and I will be covering a topic entitled Group Care Expectations. Now, what exactly is group care, child care, daycare? There's many different terms. What exactly is child care? It's when one or more children are being supervised or cared for within one specific setting. So these children will range from the ages of about 2 weeks up until 18 years old, where specifically here at Loma, we cater to children between the ages of 3 months to 6 years old. So when we're talking about group care, I definitely want to make sure that all of our families know just kind of certain expectations when it comes to health, safety, how our children are being fed, and things like that. So what we've done was kind of, let's see if I can click down to the next slide here, was break down our general group care expectations into 3 to 4 main subtopics. So the topics we're going to cover are health and hygiene, safety and supervision, general communication, and some miscellaneous topics that we felt were pretty important for all of our families to understand as well. So we're going to jump right into health and hygiene. I'm really going to try and keep this series of videos very short and sweet, more of just informational videos without really going into examples or stories, which I'm sure most of the families know I love talking. So I'm going to try and just keep it short and sweet and straight to the point. So health and hygiene. We're going to break this subtopic into infectious diseases, eating habits, toileting and diapering expectations, and the observation of your child's wellness. So infectious diseases. When somebody, I know for myself, when I think of a child care setting or a group care setting, just after doing this for so many years, one of the first things that comes to my head is infectious diseases. The children get sick. There's so many different types of germs that can easily be spread. And I know with where we are in our times, still in our almost 3rd year now of a global pandemic dealing with COVID, I know that infectious diseases and the health of our children have been on a lot of our minds. So when we're talking about certain diseases in a group care setting, I want to make certain expectations pretty clear to our families, just to make it so that everyone's comfortable and we're on the same page. It is inevitable to avoid certain infectious diseases. And when I mean it's inevitable, it's no matter how much you clean, no matter how much you sanitize, no matter how often or how well you wear a face mask, infectious diseases are going to spread. Your child, knock on wood, I hope not, but it's 99% certain that your child will come down with some type of virus, whether it's in the first week that they start because they've never been anywhere before other than home, or it's during the winter and fall season where the weather changes. There's so many different factors as to when infectious diseases are higher and when they spread a lot more. So just understanding that a group care setting like ours here at Loma, we are considered a high contact place. So that means the children work closely with one another, the adults work closely with one another, The adults and the children work super duper close to one another, especially the younger the age group, the more contact we have with your child every minute of the day. So understanding how much contact we have with your child and with one another, I think will make the thought process of your child becoming, sick or ill. Hopefully it brings a little bit more ease to your mind. Because no matter how much we try to avoid it, trust me, we really, really try our best, still keeping our mask policies intact, really extra sanitizing and cleaning everything as much as possible, even more than before, even before the pandemic. It's truly inevitable to avoid certain illnesses and infectious diseases. And I always want to be as transparent as possible when we have new families coming into our school or just joining group care for the first time ever, that it's very common and it's just a general expectation that your child will unfortunately get a couple viruses here and there because of the different setting that they're now being placed in. Even if we supervise our children to a T every second of the day, they're going to touch something. Another child touches the same surface within a millisecond after, they've touched it. And there you go. The germs have spread already. So like I said, just understanding where we are as a group care setting and knowing that it's very common for these infectious diseases and different viruses to spread pretty quickly and rapidly is going to be consistent across the board. Unfortunately, no matter what type of group care facility you do join. So it's just a common thing that we do have to deal with working in this field. But as a school, Loma definitely does have obviously our own illness and sick policies in regards to your general common diseases like the cold, the flu, hand, foot, and mouth, strep throat, things like that. And of course, obviously, as you already know, our Loma COVID policies and procedures, which we feel we have definitely been a little bit more strict on, which has really helped us to contain most of the cases that we've had in the past 2.5 to 3 years. So that's definitely something that we appreciate all of your collaboration with and your communication over these years with dealing with, that new disease. But lastly, with infectious diseases in a group care setting, like I said, it's an expectation to be as clean and as sanitized as possible. We use a bleach and water solution that is made daily. Also, we use sanitizing tablets for all of our dishes, and we're sweeping and mopping and what's that other word? Steam cleaning the carpets and all sorts of that stuff. And it's still just going to be inevitable to catch all of the little germs that all of our little people bring in and that we all share with one another. So with that, we're going to move into toileting and diapering expectations. So we're going to cover just your basic expectations for those that are in underwear and using the toilet independently, to those that are, not quite there yet and are still using diapers on a daily basis. For children that are in their diapers, we change them as needed. Obviously, whenever they're super wet or whenever they do end up having a BM in their underwear or in their diaper. But we also have a policy that we do have to check the child's diaper every 2 hours. So if they're not being checked as needed, they're definitely always being checked at least every 2 hours. Because we are a Montessori school, we do encourage changing diapers standing up once the child is capable of standing independently. So it starts in our NIDO, our infant classrooms, when the infants are pulling up to stand, capable of standing on their own with little support, or just holding on ever so lightly onto someone or something, and they're stable. That's when we start transitioning to changing their diaper standing up. And we do this because we see a great benefit of the correlation between a child standing up to the beginning of the toilet training process. So once they are more capable of independently standing up on their own in the nido, that's when they're going to begin changing the diapers all throughout the rest of their time in nido, once they transition up into our CC toddler classrooms, and then that's when the toileting will happen. So obviously we still have changing tables in our infant classrooms, and we do have a changing mat available in both of our CC toddler classrooms, just as a backup in case we really do need to lay the child down if they're not willing to stand up while, you know, we help clean them up. There's always that mat for them to lay down and have, you know, easier access to a diaper change by all of our adults in the classroom. The expectation of cleanliness and wiping perfectly for every child. I will tell you, after working directly as a lead teacher in a toddler classroom for over 10 years, no matter how experienced you are, no matter how long you've been doing it, nobody is perfect. And there will be some days where our teachers will miss a spot, whether the child had a BM, there was a little stain somewhere, or the cleaning up of it just isn't perfect. It's inevitable, again, that even myself, sometimes I miss a spot. There's a teeny little spot. We're trying to change 15 diapers 3 to 4 times a day. I'm not saying that we are, you know, rushing through it, but we do have to do it in a timely manner, but we have to be proficient. It's definitely a skill. So even if you have that skill perfected, we're not perfect. So there's always going to be a time or two where we miss a spot, or, you know, the older children in primary, they are encouraged to wipe independently after having a BM in the bathroom. But of course, the adult is always there to assist. But if the child is not verbally telling the teacher that they had a BM, that they need assistance in wiping, then sometimes the teacher is unfortunately going to miss it. Having 20 to 25 primary children in one room, doing multiple bathroom breaks at a time, with 3 to 10 children in the bathroom, going in and out, you can only imagine how busy it can get. And the attention to detail is there. That's what we strive for. But sometimes every day is different. So please understand that when you have your child with us, that we are going to do our absolute best to keep them as clean as possible. If it's something that's continuously happening with your child in their classroom, please feel free to let us know. So, like I said, sometimes when we have a large group and we're doing it day in and day out, we feel that, okay, we got it done. But then when you take them home, you have that one-on-one time, you're inspecting them, and you noticed, hey, there was a little spot that wasn't really wiped well or cleaned well. Please let us know, and we'll be happy to, you know, bring it to our attention, bring it to the teacher's attention that work with your child in the classroom, and we'll find a solution on how to, obviously, you know, better keep your child clean. But I just want to say it's an expectation. It does unfortunately happen, no matter how experienced your teachers are in that classroom. It happens to the best of us. We go through, you know, 40 to 60 diapers a day, depending on what classroom you're in, what age group you're in. So sometimes we just need a little reminder, like, hey, so-and-so wasn't wiped, you know, properly, and I've noticed it 2 times this week. That's all it takes. It's just a gentle reminder to us, and we will work with you guys to better that for your child. Let's see here. Along the lines of toileting and diapering, we also want to talk about just kind of expectations for supplies. So like I said, in an infant room and in a CC toddler classroom, when your child is still in diapers, they're here 5 days a week, 6 to 8 hours a day. We go through a lot of diapers. That's about 4 to 6 diapers a day. So when you look at that, we're going through a big old Costco pack of diapers in just a matter of 2 to 3 weeks sometimes. especially depending on how often your child has bowel movements. That contributes to how many diapers and how much supplies we use throughout the weekly or monthly basis. So what we've noticed is there have been times where we will get a decent supply of diapers or wipes from some of our families, and their child just goes through it in less than a month, in 2 to 3 weeks. And then when we ask for more, some of our families are like, oh, well, I just supplied you with some. Well, yeah, but that was just enough to cover the last, the last 3 weeks. So just please keep in mind that we do go through numerous diapers every day, every week, so that a 1 pack of wipes or a half a pack from Costco is only going to last us for so long. We want to make sure that our teachers, whether it's the assistant or the lead teacher, do, update you guys in a timely manner on when to bring in more supplies. That's definitely one of our goals. It's definitely something I know that we all have to work on. So we do want to kind of better our communication with that in regards to asking for the necessary supplies in a timely manner. But I also want our families to understand that we do go through a lot of materials here per child. So just working as a team, trying to make sure and ensure that all of our children have the necessary equipment to be with us on a daily basis every week is definitely our ultimate goal. And that's not just for diapering, it's also for just everything in general, whether it's their milk supply, their snack supply, if you're bringing them from home, extra clothes and things like that. So we're going to move along to eating habits. This one's a little bit shorter. For eating habits, obviously our ultimate goal is we want all of our children to be happy, healthy, happy tummies, but it does take a lot of teamwork. And when I say teamwork is that I want to ensure that all of our families understand the different expectations that we have as teachers here with your children and trying to follow the same patterns, the same eating habits that you guys have at home, but also what we want to encourage here as a school as well. So we respect every child's allergies. Every child's different. We respect all food preferences and we respect all dietary restrictions. If your child has any specific allergy, any type of food preference, or any type of dietary restriction, we just ask that you substitute all of those by providing food from home. So as much as we supply our breakfast, our hot lunch, and our afternoon snack here, we're not necessarily limited, but we definitely have our certain choices of what we can provide and serve to your child. So we just ask that if there is something that we as a school cannot provide to your child or something you don't like, as far as what we have on our menu, then all we ask is that you supplement something from your home to make up for that certain food item. We encourage independence in all regards. That's one of our main approaches as a Montessori school. And we encourage independence in feeding as well. And this starts at a young age at just 4 to 6 months in the Nido classrooms. We start weaning our infants off of the bottle feeds to introduce them into more solids and actual food. So it starts at a very, very young age. So we want to, as a Montessori school, consistently reiterate that the independence in feeding, being verbal about their food choices and what they like, is very important to us. So when you have an older child that's coming into our school, 2, 3, 4 years old, one of the things that we always like to communicate is that, is the child independently feeding themselves? And it's mainly to benefit that child. Because again, if they're in a group care setting, they're in a classroom with at least 10 or more other children. So for us as the teacher to sit and spoon feed all of our children or make sure they're eating all of their, items off of their plate, is it doable? Absolutely. But as a Montessori school, our expectation is that they're independently feeding themselves. So we can just monitor and observe how well your child is feeding, and we can assist when necessary. That's kind of our approach in all regards. So we definitely encourage all of our families that we have to associate that type of skill at your home as well, to really allow your child to independently feed themselves, have a choice in what they want to eat, how much they want to eat. And I think that will create more of a consistent pattern in both the home and the school environment, as that is one of our expectations for children who are eating solid foods. Obviously, in the needle for our infants, we're going to spoon feed them as much as we can until they're physically capable of really holding the spoon, guiding it to their mouth, and really independently feeding themselves. They don't necessarily master this, this skill until they're at least in the CC classroom, when they're at least 2.5, closer to 3. So we also encourage the use of the utensils, even in that infant classroom. Our expectation is that our children are using a spoon and a fork for the necessary food items like soups and cereals and things like that. And that it's not just constant eating with their hands and their fingers. As far as beverages like milk, juice, things like that, we as a school do not serve milk to our children. The only beverage that we serve here is filtered water. We don't offer milk to our children. However, every family is capable of providing milk for their child if they wish. Each classroom is equipped with a refrigerator, so we are able to keep that labeled bottle of milk in the refrigerator for as long as the supply lasts, and we can serve that to the child for every meal or just one meal out of the day. So please speak with your lead teacher if you want to supply that for your child, and they can share some details on kind of what to bring, make sure it's labeled. And juices, chocolate milk, we really try to encourage a low sugar diet. We feel that's obviously the best for our children. So we don't serve any juices or chocolate milk. And we also ask if you can refrain from bringing these types of items into our school, just because with one child bringing it, obviously outside of here, I'm sure every child has had some type of juice or something. So then they'll start seeing the juice being brought in by that other child, especially in our older primary classrooms. And it kind of causes, a little bit of disruption sometimes. But the main reason is just to kind of keep consistent with how we approach our eating habits with all of our children, is keeping it on a low sugar diet. And when I mean low sugar, we're looking at options that are at least 8 to 9 grams at the absolute most of sugar per serving. So if we have cereals or crackers or anything like that that we're serving to our children, it's definitely under that 8 to 9 grams of sugar per serving mark. And we just kind of ask that our families follow the same. So if you haven't noticed, if your child has already celebrated a birthday with us here at Loma, then we ask to bring a healthier version of a snack. Every once in a while, our family's bringing cupcakes, which is fine. But we love the mini muffins, yogurts with granola, fruit kebabs, fruit salad, things like that. So let's see, we can go ahead and move on to cleanliness, which kind of follows under eating habits, especially if you have an infant or a toddler at our school here at Loma. You'll notice that all the children will be dirty, whether it's from eating, whether it's from painting, whether it's from playing outside on our natural based playground. Your child will most likely have some type of evidence that they've had a good day here at Loma, whether it's from eating a good lunch or, digging in some mulch. But another expectation is that when your child is in group care, it's inevitable that your child will get some speck of dirt or paint or food particles somewhere on their outfit from the day. So we always encourage our parents to not bring their children in the best of outfits, because we cannot guarantee you that they're going to come home spick and span and super clean. We are very much a school that encourages, the free play, the exploration, especially when outside. So they are bound to get something on their outfit every day. So that's something we also like to be transparent about when we're speaking with our families. It's just expecting that your child will not be so super clean. It might be a bath night almost every night, especially during the summer, when our playground is a little bit drier, there's more dirt. They love digging, looking for, little artifacts and things like that. So any clothing that becomes soiled from urine or bowel movements obviously will be sent home. At the end of the day, it will be bagged up in either a plastic bag or your child's wet bag if you provide one of those. But if a child is, slightly soiled from a little bit of lunch or there's a little bit of dirt, we most likely will just keep them in that outfit for the day, unless it's heavily, heavily soiled. Then we'll change them and send that outfit home at night. We're going to move along to observation of your child's wellness. So we have a keen eye of really observing the well-being of your child. It first happens when they arrive every morning into their classroom. Obviously now with our temperature screenings, that's already an automatic kind of understanding of where your child is when they first enter our building. And then once they enter their classroom, then the teachers are able to really kind of physically examine them, see their behavior, see their performance, and take note of any changes or any differences that they see within each child. So I think we've been pretty transparent with all of our families. It's an expectation to have from us, is that if your child is just, not feeling like themselves, not performing like they normally do on a daily basis, we do like to communicate that with our parents, whether it's through a phone call or through ProCare. We just like to let our families know how their child is doing and trying our best to be on top of it. So we always like to obviously take our observation here and just kind of see how your child does throughout the day, and we keep our families posted as much as possible in regards to their child's well-being. And again, with that, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are more than willing to update you guys on how your child is doing. So moving along to our next topic, safety and supervision, we're going to cover topics like the injury and accident reports that we have, ratios and group size, communication expectations in regards to any injuries or accidents or any incidences, and then just some general expectations for safety and supervision. So our goal, obviously, I think is a general goal that we have here at Loma, is just to communicate everything. But sometimes, as you know, again, in a group care setting, every day is different. Sometimes the days get so busy and we meant to communicate something to a family, but 2 hours pass and we don't get to it in time, or we don't get to it until the end of the day. So that's inevitable. Again, that's going to happen, but our ultimate goal is to really be on top of it and try and communicate as much as possible. So when it comes to injuries and accidents, we communicate injuries to our parents through numerous avenues, whether it's we call you on the phone, we tell you in person when you pick up your child, or we just shoot you a little message on ProCare. Depending on the severity of the incident or the accident or the injury, will determine kind of what avenue we take as far as communicating these different things to the parents. We kind of follow a protocol that, especially severe injuries that are above the neck, is an immediate report, and we're going to call you guys and we're going to communicate it to you. If it's a little nick on the knee, a little scratch on the elbow, we'll definitely, do our best to gauge if we need to write a report on it, but definitely let you guys know that we observed it so that we can be on the same page. Now with that, children are children, and they are bound to get a little nick here, a scratch there, a bump there, bruise here, and we will not, unfortunately, catch it all. And again, that's just the nature of it, of being in group care. As much as we want to know every inch of your child's, body and every little mark that they can possibly get from here, we'd love to do that, but that's difficult. So we definitely want to make it clear that as an expectation for having your child in group cares, we are unfortunately going to miss a couple things here and there, but our ultimate goal is to try and be on top of it and to catch all of these incidences and accidents as much as possible, and to communicate it to you guys in a timely manner. We just want to make sure that we're always on the same page in regards to anything that happens with your child. So we just want to be diligent about our communication and ensuring that we cover all of our bases. When it comes to, again, the reporting of accidents or injuries, things do get busy in our classrooms, as you can expect. So we do try and communicate our incidents and accidents during the quieter times, possibly during nap time when the children are outside and we can get coverage for our lead teachers to give you guys a call or something along those lines. However, of course, if it's a major accident, huge injury, something that's super important for us to notify you ASAP, then of course we're going to communicate it in a very timely manner. But if something that can wait about an hour or two, we generally wait until it's quieter during nap time or downtime to find the coverage for our lead teachers to step out and to write you guys a message or to give you guys a phone call. And of course, about communicating, like I said, it's going to happen. We're going to miss something that you guys see at home that we didn't unfortunately catch here while they were with us during the day. So just communicate it to us through messages or the morning after, just saying, hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z. Do you guys know what happened? Or something like that. And we'd be happy to try and get to the bottom of it. So our actual physical injury reports, they are completed. It's a physical form. It's an actual form that we fill out for our injuries and all of our accidents that occur here at Loma. They stay in your child's file if you are more than willing, or you are more than happy to have a copy of it at your discretion. So just let us know if you ever want to take a copy of any type of report home with you. We'd be happy to do that. They're all reviewed by the administration and by the parent. So it does require 2 signatures before it does get filed. But we try our best to, again, just have something on file for all of the injuries, all the accidents, and all of the behavioral incidents that we do encounter with all of our children. If, for an instance, incidents or any type of behaviors with a certain child are reoccurring, if they are repetitive, if it's something that needs to be brought to our attention, we definitely will acknowledge it, and we will create a plan for communication with the family that is involved. Sometimes you guys, as the parents, notice it first, or your child will say something to you more frequently than they do with us, and you feel the need to bring it to our attention. By all means, please bring it to our attention. We're happy to schedule a time to talk about it, whether it's through the phone or in person. So please let us know if there is anything that is concerning your child. So we can definitely try and create a plan and find a solution for it. And in general, just kind of ratios and group sizes. We do follow a Virginia state ratio. It depends on the state that you're living in. Each ratio is different. Our ratios for the state of Virginia are as follows. For infants between the ages of 3 months and 16 months old, we have 1 teacher to 4 children. If they're 16 months to 3 years old, we have 1 teacher and 5 children. If they're all over 2 years old, we have 1 teacher and 8 children. And if they're all over 3 years old, you have 1 teacher and 10 children. At Loma, we are very diligent about keeping these ratios. So that's one thing that we definitely want for all of our classrooms. It ensures the safety of all of our children and the safety of our teachers as well. So we really take our ratios very serious when we're working here at Loma in our group care setting. I think that's what I have for ratios. Our last one is communication there, and then we'll be wrapping things up. So when we're talking about communication, just in general, we do have different forms of communicating with you all, whether it's in person during pickup and drop off, through telephone, email, or of course through our ProCare app. We will be covering a lot more detail and specifics in our next Back to School series, which is ProCare Expectations, which will be hosted by Ms. Kendall. So please look out for that video next week. But that will have a lot of informative details and information for you as well. But back to communication, just want to remind everybody that due to COVID, we are still having all of our families remain in the lobby for pickup and drop off. Both of our NIDO classrooms, Ms. Helena and Ms. Wasal's classroom, do have the opportunity to pick up and drop off directly at the door because they are within the same proximity of one another and it's not too far into the school. But if you're in both of those if you have a child in either of those classrooms and they're not present in the room, please remain in the lobby until we bring your child to you, just like every other family in the building. We had to be creative once COVID hit on how we can communicate more frequently with our families. So that's why finding ways on how to communicate with you guys during pickup at the playground and things like that have been, I think have been working quite well. Do want to remind everybody that we do hold formal parent-teacher conferences every 6 months. They are typically between November and December, and April and May. So our next ones will be coming up very soon. So we always like to plan ahead. So probably a month before November, you will see further details about how to sign up for a time slot and how to speak with your child's lead teacher in regards to your child's progress and any questions that you had for them and things like that. We are always, I think a lot of you guys know this, we are always an open door. We are always open for communication and just answering your questions. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us to, ask any questions that you may have in regards to your child's development, what's going on here at Loma, or anything like that. And that's also kind of why we love to schedule and create our community events. Like the one we just had was our Loma block party. Thank you all to thanks to everyone who attended. It was a great turnout. The weather was beautiful. It was a fun time. We feel that we also want to make sure that we are your community. We are your soundboard. We are here to help you, guide your children to be the best that they can be. So we want to be here as your support system. We're not just, your caregivers for your child. We're more than that. So we hope that you guys have been feeling that way, because that's that's definitely what we strive for here at Loma. And then we also have our virtual workshops. So for example, these YouTube videos that we are posting, just creating different avenues of how we can get information out to you guys as frequently as possible. We are having open houses as well coming up in September. And don't forget, we also send out monthly newsletters, which do come directly from Loma. So make sure you check your spam or your junk box, your junk email in case it goes there. But we do send them out at least by the first week of every month. So let's see what else we have here. So that goes along with our communication. I guess I skipped ahead of myself. But that's just kind of a little spiel about communication. And then we'll go into our miscellaneous, some little subtopics again to kind of cover personal belongings. We ask that you have your children, especially the older children. We know they're starting to become attached to the little toys and the trinkets from home. It does become a distraction in most of our classrooms. So we really ask that you work with us to keep these objects either at home or in the car and just not even bring them through the doors of Loma. Because we don't know how cherished these items are. So if they get lost or misplaced, we know how distraught some of our children can be. So just to avoid all of that, we really ask that you work with us. Just keep all of those items at home. If it's not for napping or eating, then please just keep it with you until you pick up your child at the end of each day. Please label everything with the large groups in each classroom. We have 20 to 25 children in primary, 10 to 12 infants in the NIDO, 15 CC children. Things do get mixed up. But as soon as we see a label, some initials on the block, it's so much easier for us to find a home for all of the little extraneous items that we're finding. So please, 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 I know it's a lot of work, but please try your hardest to label every item, especially clothing, hats, shoes, all of that stuff for your child. Food has to be labeled, whether you are bringing it just every other day or on a daily basis. It has to be labeled with your child's first and last name and the day's date. That is a state requirement. So please help us in making sure that everything is labeled. And as far as food, again, remember we are a nut-free facility. We follow the USDA suggestions of what is considered a nut. Coconut, lychee, obviously your tree nuts, all of those things, please do not bring them into Loma. A popular one is Nutella. Obviously that's hazelnut. So please remember that you can't have that on a sandwich either for your child. Because some of our children do have high nut allergies in our building. As far as food coming from home, especially for our older primary children, if they're bringing in a little bento box or some type of lunch box, we highly encourage you guys to find some type of container that your child can easily open on their own or with very little assistance. It takes practice. So we always encourage you to possibly practice as much as possible at home before bringing those containers into school. We definitely want your child to be self-sufficient and independent. That's what we strive for. So we want to make sure that everything is accessible by all of our children, including those little lunch boxes and lunch containers. And lastly, what I want to talk about is just administering medication and some simple things about payments and tuition. So all of our lead teachers here at Loma are trained in MAT, medication administering training. So we are capable of administering medications to your child. That includes basic over-the-counter, Tylenol, nebulizers, inhalers, things like that. However, if your child needs some type of medication while they are here with us at Loma, we are asking for certain documentation to be completely filled out before we are eligible to administer anything to your child. So planning ahead is always key because some of these forms do require a pediatrician or doctor's signature. So if if your child is sick and you do plan on bringing them back to Loma, but they're still going to be on some type of medication, please plan ahead, reach out to administration via email or ProCare, or just stop by during drop-offs and let us know so we can provide you with the necessary documents and provide you with the directions on how to properly fill everything out. And for payments and tuition, obviously you can pay through our ProCare app. We are fidgeting with an automated invoice. So if you notice that your invoices are not correct on a monthly basis, please just reach out to myself or Miss Tiffany and we will definitely help you. We'll have to manually change all of that. But hopefully most of our families are squared away with the correct monthly tuition invoice. We have a nice little checkbox, thanks to Miss Tiffany, that is now posted on the front desk there, that you can submit cash or check payments in person, and we will account for those by the end of each week. And I think that is it. So it kind of went a little bit longer than I had hoped, but I was able to discuss some very important topics that we've noticed. We've been at, just a lot of our families have had questions about in the past couple weeks. So I hope you found that this first video of the Back to School series was informative. If you have any questions, send us a message on ProCare, or you can even leave a comment in the comment section down there, and we'll be checking out our channel to answer any of your questions. But with that said, thank you for listening. I hope you gained some insight on just general expectations that we have here at Loma. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we will talk soon. Bye.